everybody. How are we? I want to say happy Thursday, but you know what? My heart is kind of feeling heavy. A few days ago, we talked about the three sisters who were found on the beach, Brighton Beach, and I have to say that this morning when I woke up and I was feeling quite heavy, I realized it had to do with that as well because there's just so much that's come out, in the last few days. We're going to be talking about it because we're going to have a panel at 8:30 to talk about it. In the meantime, hey Virgo, good to see you. Great to see you. Hello, Ian. Wonderful to see you. People. Drop your hellos. Let me know you're in the house. Let me know you are in the house and you are ready to engage in conversation. You know how we do. Oh, it's just one of those, and it's also been a kind of like a crazy week in politics, hasn't it? And we're going to touch on some of that in our highlights. I can see the numbers increasing with people viewing. How are things being with you guys? And Virgo, you finally got the notification. Excellent. I don't know how I don't know how these things work. I don't know how it works with we getting notifications, but I would hope people get notifications beforehand. Hey Moyo, how are you? Good to see you. Oluwagbi, God bless you. Thank you so much. Can I have closed captions on YouTube, please? So I'm gonna have to look up what that is. Can I have closed caption? Right. Hey Shamin, but I would definitely have that looked into. Hello, and Caramel. Good evening. I was just saying that. Oh, so before I even actually get into Oluwabi, like I said, I will take a look at what closed captions is about. I'm not crazy with tech, so. Are you saying captions come up, or you don't want captions to come up? Tell me what you mean, and then we can get to the bottom of that. Hey Roxanne, hello, good to see you. Hey Shireen, people, thank you so much for showing up. Hola, so good to see you guys. So good to see you, honestly. Hello to you too. Go you too. God is good. I started off saying that I was going to say happy Thursday, but when I got up this morning, the news coming in about the sisters found unalived at Brighton Beach, it just laid heavy on my heart, especially just thinking about what the family must be going through. But as I said, we're going to have a panel later in about 30 minutes. We're going to have a panel. As you can see, our distinguished guests are people who know what they're talking about. And so Akua, Elaine, Marvyn, and Ngozi Fulani. So, we're really going to get into this and have a full-on, robust conversation. Okay, so let's see. Oluwagbi says, no captions has not come up, but only Facebook has it. So you don't want captions. Yeah. Virgo is it's subtitles. Like, okay, you don't want subtitles. Okay, right. Okay, I'll have somebody look into that. I don't think I put subtitles, but maybe it is the way it comes up on Facebook. But I learn something new every day. So if it's going to be about closed captions, then that's going to be something I'm going to have to learn about too. Okay, people. Now, I said it's been a crazy ass week. It has been a crazy ass week. Okay. First of all, let's take a look at this. Let me share this with you. And you tell me what you think. Now, this is, if I can just find it. Where's Robert Jenrick? Robert Jenrick has been having a go. I don't know. I just put this up and somehow it's disappeared now. Robert Jenrick,
We're in central London, outside the council flat of the First Lady of Sierra Leone. It's a pretty nice place. She doesn't live here very much because she lives in the presidential palace with its own swimming pool, tennis court and helipad. This is obviously completely ridiculous. And at the last count, there were more than 100 military veterans sleeping rough on the streets of our capital city. Well, Reform's policy is very simple. She's going to get booted out, and this council flat will go to a veteran. In fact, veterans will get first dibs for council houses across the country. That's the kind of common sense that we need and has been sadly lacking for far too long.
So this guy's an asshole. Let me just first of all start by saying that Robert Jenrick is, bigot personified. All right. I want to put him back up while I'm talking about him. Where is he? I want him back up there, please. Yeah. Let's understand this. So he's talking about a council flat that is rented by the first lady of Sierra Leone, Fatima Bayo. And he's saying that she lives in a presidential apartment, basically opening the question of how can the president's wife have a council flat? How is she renting a council flat? What he's not sharing with his so-called political, the political illiterate class that he panders to, he's not giving them the full story. He's weaponizing her as political fodder. That's what we're seeing here. Now, people can have legitimate questions about who has access to council flats, and where there's anything that is inappropriate, I expect it to go through the appropriate channels. Okay. So what he's not telling people is that she escaped a child marriage in Sierra Leone to come to the UK at 16. That's how she ended up, she became asylum seeker here, sought refuge here, and she lived here. This was before she eventually got married and became First Lady of Sierra Leone. He's not giving any of that background. He's selling the story of Fatima, of the First Lady, as though she's corrupt. And this is intentional. As I said, if there's something untoward about her being able to rent a council flat, then by all means take you through the appropriate channel. But it's the hypocrisy for me. I mean, this is the same Robert Jenrick who was involved in unlawfully approving a Tory donor's £1 billion development. Look at that. The same man who's accusing her of corruption. I mean, that is what he's doing. It's implied that she's doing something criminal, she's doing something corrupt. This guy has a whole history that is questionable. But we know that he consistently weaponizes his anti-immigrant rhetoric and racist rhetoric for one purpose and one purpose only. That's his political ambition. I personally find it disgusting, honestly. Because what do you mean? I mean, what do you mean? If there's something wrong, in fact, I beg to say that if he had dug deeper and found something criminal in what she had done, that is what he would have been talking about. Because clearly she's not doing anything criminal. So all he can do is paint this picture of how can a woman who lives in a palace, who lives in a presidential palace with swimming pool, who is the first lady of the president of a whole different country, be able to rent a council flat. That is what he's putting out there as a crime when it is not. I find it disgusting. I find it disgusting. I don't think that the system we have, whether it's with housing or with benefits or with healthcare, is perfect. I don't think it's perfect. I think there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done. But to then come out and claim that, when reform come into power, we will kick everybody out, all these immigrants. That's what he means. All these immigrants, we will kick them out and we will put veterans in. Really? You all remember that Robert Jenrick was part of the government when the Tories were in power? He was part of the freaking government. Why didn't they house the veterans then? The veterans that he is now willfully, weaponizing. Virgo says, you can't just kick people out of their council place. Once you have been in there for a year, you're a secure tenant. After 5 years, you're entitled to buy. Now, I don't know the ins and outs, but if that is the case, then again, the reason she was able to have access to rent a council flat and be a tenant to council flat is because she had come here at the age of 16. She was fleeing a country so that she would not be forced into a child marriage. This is what I mean. And they don't tell you this fact. They do not tell you this fact at all, because it's It doesn't suit their narrative. I just find the whole thing really, really disgusting, to be honest with you. But thank you for that, Virgo. I know many people will understand how these things work. Now, okay, people, bear with me. Have you all seen? Are you guys aware of the fact that Israel kidnapped the activists on the flotilla, kidnapped them from international waters? Are you guys aware? Right. Took all the activists and been torturing them. I mean, they've released them now, but this is what Ben-Gvir, the Israeli minister, actually shared on his social media. Hold on, let me see if I can.
Free Palestine!
זיכוי, כל המטרה כאן זה לראות שאין אנשים בתהליך. ברוכים הבאים לישראל, אנחנו בעלי הבית. ישראל חי. לא להתרגש מהצעקות שלהם, לא להתרגש.
I mean, to say that this is disgusting would be an understatement. To say this is disgusting is an understatement. He's taunting. He's doing to them all these things you're seeing them do to the activists. We've seen them do worse, similar and worse to Palestinians. This is what they know they can get away with. They know they can get away with these. And apparently amongst these activists are 12 British citizens. Have you heard anything from Stama? Did he come out to say, did he come out to do anything? But guess who did? His foreign secretary. Now, try not to throw up when you hear what she has to say.
Totally disgraceful scenes in this video shared by Israeli cabinet minister Ben-Gvir.
Let me see if I can. If I can get this back up here, if I know what I'm doing. Hold on a second. Because when I watch this, it really pisses me off.
Disrespect and...
Hold on. 1 second. As you can all see, okay, let's start again.
We see these totally disgraceful scenes in this video shared by Israeli cabinet minister Ben-Gvir, which shows a total disrespect and violation of basic standards of human dignity in the way that people were being treated. Completely appalled, and we have sent a summons to the Israeli embassy because we need the urgent explanation as to how this could happen. Obviously, Ben-Gvir is a cabinet minister who has been sanctioned by the UK government as a result of previous behaviour and serious issues around the West Bank. But I think this is extremely serious, the totally disgraceful scenes that we saw. We have sent a summons to the Israeli embassy and because we need this urgent explanation.
People, do you smell that? As she was speaking, could you smell the bullshit? Because that was bullshit. How in heaven's name is she acting shocked and surprised at, what did she call it? A violation of human dignity? I mean, is she for real? A violation of human dignity. When we have literally seen them violate human dignity every day for the last 3 freaking years, both in Gaza and the West Bank. The only reason Ben-Gvir and all these Israeli Zionist Jews are able to do this is because of politicians like Yvette Cooper, Keir Starmer, governments like the UK government who have not stopped it. Because they can stop it if they wish to. They can use their power to stop it. They've not done that. But Ben-Gvir knows that the United Kingdom will do nothing. They've got them in their pockets. They know that if these politicians even dare to raise any noise, they'll be, oh my God, rise of anti-Semitism. It is anti-Semitic. How can you pretend? How is she able to pretend right now? How can she pretend that this is shocking, this is surprising, when this is consistent with his behavior? The man who has planned, built a hanging chamber to hang Palestinians? Who passed the bill for that? How are you shocked? I mean, literally, I agree with Italian stars. The world is letting them get away with it, which is why they're being extreme. They're consistently extreme. So it really, really pisses me off when these politicians try to act shocked and surprised. They're gaslighting us. They're honest to God, gaslighting us. And I don't know how much more of this we can, put up with. Watson says Israel is so arrogant. So freaking arrogant. I agree. I totally agree. Because they can, no one is stopping them, and it's all down to greed. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. I just don't understand why you then come out and act like you're surprised. Fergus says, I don't know how to word this because I don't want the police to come for you. How do you think Israel can be stopped? Is it extreme as what Trump said he would do to Iran? All I know is this, that if the governments in power and with power genuinely wanted to stop Israel, all they have to do is take away their implicit and express approval. All of them start speaking out against Israel like they speak out against Russia. All of them start literally withdrawing every support. Israel is nothing without the West. Israel is absolutely nothing without the West. If they stopped kowtowing to the power tactics of Zionists, but you see, the people in power are Zionists. The Uwe Coopers, the David Lammies, the Angela, no, it's Angela. I don't know if Angela Rayner is, but I know Rachel Reeves has said she's proudly, Zionist. Keir freaking Starmer is a Zionist. If we had people in power, like the Spanish president, like those who have really come out to speak out, I think the Brazilian president is one as well, then yes, Israel would be stopped. Now, that would be the international diplomatic way to do it. But it seems to me like Israel only understands violence. And so if it's not listening, then if what Israel does to Palestine and Lebanon is done to Israel, then Israel will stop. I'm not creating anything new. I'm saying if what Israel is doing to others is done to Israel, Israel will have to stop. It will have no choice. Where is it going to get all these weapons that the West keeps arming it with? All the billions of dollars that America keeps giving it, for what reason? Americans don't have free healthcare, but in Israel they have free healthcare. What the actual hell? Nah, to me, it's crazy. Joel says there's a conflict of interest in this government. Zionists should be out. I totally agree. Because when the next elections come around, we should not vote for any politician who is a Zionist. Totally out. Absolutely. Abdullahi says, it's true that Israel is nothing without the West, but the UK is dependent on the USA for defense. So they'll do whatever the USA says, and the USA does what Israel wants, or maybe it's the other way around. You're not lying. However, it takes having the right kind of leader to not give a rat's ass. It, honest to God, takes the right kind of leader. You see, again, as I give the example, whether it's the Spanish president or prime minister, I can't remember what his title is, whether it's China. China has not been on Israel's side. Whether it is the likes of Zoran Mamdani or even Zach Polanski, there are politicians out there saying what needs to be said, doing what can be done, and if they were in a position of power, they will do what has to be done. But when you've got chicken-livered cowards like Keir Starmer, who are relying on other people for their power and not on their integrity or moral backbone, then no, we will not be able to move. We will not be. That's why I can't wait for the next general election. It cannot come soon enough, because to me, it's crazy. Junior says, let's see. It's a shame because if the layman tried to do anything, our living is in jeopardy. Exactly. We have the power of our employers and don't own anything. True. The Zionists will come for your job, for your school, for everything. I was sharing with somebody recently that I've had a few hit pieces written about me, like in the Daily Mail and blah, 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 and campaign against anti-Semitism. Made it very clear. It's written in print that they accused me of betraying the Jews. betraying the Jews. Like, there are millions of Jews in this world. So do they know that I even exist? How have I betrayed them? And they wrote in that piece, that's Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, that they will write. They will write to my staff, to my universities, to my clients, to anybody that has anything to do. And this is their modus operandi. In fact, there was an event that I went to speak at in New York recently. And the event organizer said, Dr. Shola, oh my God, we have to tell you this because this has never happened before. I said, what? Well, what is it? You know what they said to me? They said the moment they announced, this is an event in New York, the moment they announced that I was going to be speaking, that they received from their donors. So somebody either got in touch with the donors or the donors did it. A whole like list of, oh, we think you should be very aware of this person you've invited to come and speak at your event. And they went, they had never, ever been in receipt of anything of the sort. And then they looked at each other and went, we want her. We definitely want her to come and speak. I'm like, I wouldn't know that these things are happening because, God is good. God covers me. My God is my strength. So all these people that are moving in dark places and they're digging pits, may they fall into the pit that they dig in Jesus' name. All of them will fall into those pits. While they are planning all their evil, the Lord is covering all those of us who are speaking truth to power. Those of us who are saying wrong is wrong, right is right. And I think that we should all just do what we can. And I appreciate that, the earlier point about how people's jobs are in jeopardy. I get it. Abdullahi asks, what real choices do you think we have for the next general election? I'll tell you right now, in the UK, I'm looking green. I'm going green. That's the direction I'm going. Unless something else comes up or some other, something happens. But I'm looking at Zach Polanski. I'm looking at Marvyn Ali, who is a deputy there. I like what both of them stand for. I think the Green Party has a lot still, they have stuff that they need to work through. But so far, so good, they seem to be on the right path. That I think is kind of where we need to be. So I'm just thinking right now, to me, it's just insane. I do not have the stomach for any politician that will come and lie to us again and again. I don't have time for it. Okay, so I wanted to share this clip with you. I think this is an American teacher. Let me just play this for you. Okay, hold on a second. Let's see.
Oh my God.
Oh, 1 second. Shola is doing her usual. I don't know what I'm doing because it is technology.
Oh my God.
He has a teacher. He's throwing a black ball. And then she hangs it. She got fired. That is a white teacher throwing a black doll in a classroom. And as you can see here, she hangs it by the neck with your rope. I want to say something, but what can you actually say? What can you actually say to a grown-ass white woman who is teaching a class, who then decides to tie a rope around a black doll? Lynching, Oluwabi, thank you. Exactly, lynching a black baby doll. Why? What lesson is to be learned here? What lesson? What is this? Is this entertainment? How is this even okay? Of course she got her raggedy ass fired. But I think that there should be something so much more than this. Because this is a classroom. This is a teacher, right? She should be prosecuted for something. She shouldn't just lose her job. But this is how comfortable they are. This is how comfortable racists are, white supremacists are in Trump's America. This is what happens. This is what happens. I think if I remember from the story here, the student who went to report it said that this teacher stalked him or her. And when the student was trying to report, was interrupting the student as the student tried to reply me. Exactly, Joel. This is the question. What else has she been teaching? I don't understand what kind of lesson students are meant to learn from this. I there are times that I find it exhausting. No, I lie. I find it exhausting a lot of the time, and that is why I just get really pissed off. I just don't have the energy. Virgo says Trump will pardon her. You know it. White supremacist in chief. Why wouldn't he? Because that was just a joke. There was nothing in there. Exactly the same way when he he shared his image of passing himself off as Jesus Christ. Yeah, I am not surprised. I am not surprised at all. Exactly. Robert says, "Oh, hell to the no." Hell to the no indeed. It is very disturbing. It's very disturbing how more brazen and confident these white supremacists are. It's very, very, I don't understand how she thought she could get away with that, or she thought nobody would say anything, because after all, it does no harm. Joel says, if it was a Jewish doll to be different. Sis, you said it. You said it. You said it. No lies detected. None whatsoever. None detected. Honestly, it's something else. Now, guys, as I promised, we're going to have a panel shortly where we'll be getting into this real conversation about the Brighton Beach tragedy, and more importantly, to just really have a safe space where we can have these conversations. And I'm so pleased that we'll be joined by an incredible people who I know will speak truth to power on the issue. There will be no filters. It will be real talk. And I'm so excited that they're joining us and making the time, to be honest with you. I don't know if, like me, like I said early this morning when I got up, my heart was heavy. And it is because of the three sisters who died, what their family must be going through. And the fact that each time we try to talk about these things, we get shut down with, that must be a conspiracy theory. Da, 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 da. So I'm like, no, I want to have a conversation with people that actually care. So I am so excited right now. Let's start bringing up our guests for the evening. Elaine The Pain. Sis, look at you looking fine. Look at you looking fine. Marvyn, give us that smile. Show us the smile. My brother Nels from another mother. How are we doing? How are we doing? This is excellent. Oh, wait. Where's the Nels gone? Nels, come back, please. I want to see you. Thank you very much.
Can't miss me. How's it going, my people?
Oh, it's so good to meet you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Really, really. Hello, sis Ngozi. How are we? How are we, Dozen, my sister? Thank you so much for coming. I love this. Thank you so much. Oh, you're mute, sis. You're mute.
Hi, everyone. Really nice to be here.
Evening.
Evening. People, I don't see you saying hello to our guests. Say hello. Don't let them think that we are rude. Welcome them and make them feel welcome. This is a Nigerian household. We must make everybody feel welcome. If I could give you palm wine, I would, and jollof rice, but I can't do it virtually. Okay. Now, guys, listen. Can we just start with, first of all, let me just start by saying deepest condolences to the family of the three sisters.
Absolutely.
I won't lie. When I read and heard the father's statement, I am in awe. I mean, what did you guys think of his statement?
For me, when I read it, it was extremely touching, and I felt like it was personal to me. Like, he was also speaking to us as a community and being like, this is my grief, and these are my beautiful girls. And it was just heartbreaking to read. And even the photo of him and his three girls, like, that broke me. For me, when I saw that absolutely broke me. Yeah.
What did you guys think? It's so touching. I mean, there are no words. There are really no words. And I don't know them personally, and you don't have to know them personally to be utterly shocked, upset, and angry.
If I may, Shola, first I'd like to give my deepest condolences to the family and friends. I, like you, have a very, very heavy heart.
You're on mute, sorry, Dr. Shola.
It's very sad, and we have so many questions, and I'm hoping that some of those questions we feel safe enough to explore and just talk about here without feeling shut down. But I want to play something for you. Nels this morning was on GMB. I happened to watch his interview on GMB. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can bring this up. Oh, there it is. Now, I found it absolutely infuriating. Not Nels, of course. Nels is always talking sense. It is Kwasi, whatever the heck his face is. Kwateng. So let me just play this. I want to see if I can put this here.
Must be suspicions about how these 3 women can die.
Yeah, there is enormous suspicions. But by that, I'm not speaking of police. I'm speaking of within the community in particular. So this story, when it emerged about a week ago, and it broke that there were 3 women, Black British women, I believe they were of Jamaican descent. That's how it was originally described to me. It immediately became clear, because it was something that's been bubbling for a while now, that there's been a slew of stories of Black women showing up dead in water, showing up dead in rivers or on the beach somewhere. To put, there has
been a spike in these cases.
I can't say it's been dozens of them, but I mean there's been about 3 or 4 high-profile stories. It's not hard to Google them at all. So when this one then emerged, we had not 1 sister, not 2 sisters, but 3 sisters at early time in the morning doing something completely uncharacteristic of almost anybody I know.
What's the suspicion? From the point of view of the police, I think it's quite right for the public to say, look, something must be done. But you've got to give the officials, the authorities, time to figure it out. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is under massive pressure, they come to some wrong conclusions.
They can't jump to conclusions.
They can't do that. But I think people space and time to come to a rational, reasoned decision about what happened.
That I agree with. Yeah. But I feel that we're at a particular point right now where this happened in a few situations, and if you speak to any Black woman whatsoever, they'll say the exact same thing. I don't know anybody I don't know any Black woman whatsoever. I've got 5 sisters, a mum, numerous, countless nieces, you name it, so my daughter. None of them would go to Brighton Beach at that time in the morning. None of them would be swimming in a river or that sort of situation. So the problem with this is, again, it boils down to the suspicion that there's something going on with them. Not with them, but there's something happening somewhere.
This sort of conversation is quite dangerous because there'll be all sorts of conspiracy theories around this.
I can't listen to him for one more second because I would scream. Like literally, the guy's pissing me off. Because last time I checked, people, patterns are not conspiracy theory. There's a pattern of Black women found unalived by bodies of water. That is not a conspiracy theory. And why the hell did Kwasi start running the fence for the bloody police? Don't let me talk too much. Marvyn, what do you think?
Look, I think Kwasi Kwarteng has a really long history of romanticizing the system that was never designed to protect us, and so I'm not surprised by his disconnected observation. I think what we understand is that how the system doesn't serve them, we see the patterns, we see the behaviors, and we are best placed to pose the questions as to what that consistency is. What I really, really admired is Kelechi speaking to just gathering data. I'm going to be a data gatherer, and I'm going to own as much information about these occurrences as possible, so that if a trend is visible, we'll be able to actually see it. Because otherwise, I think, as Nels was referring to, just how many of these occurrences is very hard to pin down, and what level of time frame. So we need a system, we need a framework, we need data, and we need to be able to sit there and publicly look at it to be able to come up with an idea as to what could be happening. We know that none of these institutions will invest any time or money like Madeleine McCann has been invested in for pretty much most of my life. That level of investigation will never live for Black bodies. So we have to be the ones to do it.
I can't disagree with you. Nels, what was it like for you sitting there, hearing another black man utter what I consider to be trash. He's running defense for the police, and he's acting as though there is evidence of the police ever giving us reason to believe that they'll run a thorough investigation on criminality or suspicious circumstances that impact Black lives, especially since we know that the first thing they said in this situation, in this case for the three sisters, the first thing they said was, it's not suspicious, no criminality. But then they tell us there'll be further investigation. What are you investigating if you've already concluded that it is not suspicious? Nels, don't let me talk too much. Please tell me what you think. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Excuse me. First of all, good evening to everybody. Good evening, Marvyn, it's good to see you. Elaine and Ngozi, it's good to see both of you. I don't believe I've met either of you before, so it's really good to meet both of you. And I'm a huge admirer of both of you. So thank you so much for your work. It really does mean a lot to me altogether, of course. And then and my deepest condolences to the family of the three sisters. It's unthinkable. I wanted to start with an apology because, frankly, this morning, so just to give you the backstory of it, when you do Good Morning Britain, like I do it, so I do the political panel, it's not like a long brief. You're told pretty quickly before you go on there, they might give you 13 topics that you're going to discuss, and then you have to know your stuff. So it's not like you can prepare. It's like a lifetime of preparing. So you have to know the social feelings of politics, the players, and everything else. And then that was literally Susanna, who was very moved by the story, actually spoke to us off air. And Susanna was the one who said that she insisted on speaking on this story. She's the one who just showed it to me immediately, just as I was about to sit down. About to start, said, I want to get to the bottom of this story because this just doesn't seem right to me. So that was Susanna who brought it up. And she spoke to us about, I don't want to betray any confidences, but she's clearly very, very moved by the story, and we all were. But she's the person who just said this doesn't pass the smell test by any means whatsoever. So, but where I'd like to apologize is that I just don't feel that at any given time, I don't think in that conversation I had my 10 toes on the floor as I should have had my 10 toes on the floor and dealt with it as I should have actually dealt with it. Because again, the moment you throw the word conspiracy theory into the mix, it becomes a situation which your credibility is being tossed into the air, and then you're thinking, oh well, do I continue to push the line, or do I worry about my credibility or anything else? And so in that regard, I probably should have been a little bit stronger. And probably should have had, as Marvyn rightfully pointed out, had the data to hand a little bit more. So I had the numbers and everything else. But even then, too, just as we all know the community, we all know Black women and everything else. So nothing's passed anyone's smell test. Forget even the Black community. Even if you're not Black, you know that this doesn't pass anybody's smell test. Even this doesn't. I mean, Susanna's not Black. She knows that. She knew that this something just didn't feel. Something just doesn't feel right here or so. And then this is before we knew that the mother, once we then found out that the mother actually was also died in the water too, it then became another bigger issue for all of us. So look, Kwasi Kwarteng is somebody who is, I would say, a little bit more, probably has a bit more confidence in the actual system than perhaps the average person does, than those of us, than we do. That's, I mean, we're all products of our environment to a certain degree. He has been in elite school since he was a baby. Since he was a very little boy, he was in boarding school at Eton, all that sort of stuff or so. So he's baked into the system.
Nails.
Yep.
No.
He's a colleague of mine. He's a colleague. Sorry.
Or what
sorry, guys.
It's not happening. Not in this crowd. It ain't happening.
No.
There is no freaking sorry for him. He has no freaking excuse. The guy is full of absolute dung. Shall I go on? Let you get to your point, bro.
Okay. I'll land as quickly as possible. I'll land my plane because I still got to. I work with him on I work with Kwesi on a regular basis. I'm just pointing out his name's actually not Kwasi Kwarteng. It's actually Kwesi Kwarteng. That is actually. Care. It's actually the Ghanaians who always pull me up and say his name is not actually Kwasi. They always say to me his name is Kwesi.
Bro, we do not care what his first, last, middle given name is. He belongs in the trash. The guy's wasting freaking space. Carry on, my dear. Carry on.
So Mr. Kwarteng always is pretty much he's an establishment figure. Forget the ethnicity and everything else. He's an establishment figure. He has a lot more faith in establishment systems and controls and everything else than perhaps the average person. Certainly more than the average Black person does, who grew up pretty much in the community, who grew up in the community, who has that background and knowledge, who's seen police, who knows a thing or two about propaganda, who knows a thing or two about, hey, how police sometimes might not go to bat for black people, investigate things poorly, take pictures of our bodies when we're dead or we're distressed, so brutalize us. So the distrust for us is going to be a lot higher than perhaps it might be for him.
He's still black. Nels,
No.
what am I hearing?
No. I'm not here to defend Kwarteng.
No.
I'm not here to defend Kwarteng, but I just want to make it clear that it's his experience, and it's something his experience of blackness is quite different. Is quite. I'll give you one example, right? Just give you one example. I don't want to make this about Kwarteng, right?
Please.
But I remember. So those of us who went to school here, who went to school in London when you were little, grew up in the 80s. You knew. So I grew up foster care for the first 9 years of my life. Came out of foster care, moved to London. Grew up in London, and the first thing that happens now, when I left foster care, where I was the only black kid in school, the first thing that happened to me was that I was so thankful that I wouldn't be the only black kid in school anymore when I moved to London. I just was like, thank God that we'll all be black. There'll be so many black people here. And there was. I went to one of the worst schools in London. There was so many black kids there. And I was so happy nonetheless, right? But what was really funny is that I didn't really know much about African and Caribbean stuff in the slightest bit. That there was anything that there was, but then I got embedded into that, and I had to learn that pretty quickly.
No,
but hold on, let me finish my point. Let me my point. But the key point was this: I spoke to Kwarteng when I first met him about 2-3 years ago. And I was speaking to him about this, and he said all this is news to him. This is what he never knew any of this, because to him, he was in Eton for every day of his set. So to him, his only battle throughout the whole thing was like being a normal black kid in this elite school. So then now it then
don't care, and there's no excuse. He's a grown ass.
I'm not making excuses for him. I can't make excuses for him.
Better. He should know better.
He should.
Now, he says, nobody cares about Kwarteng, Kwesi, or whatever God-given name his family gave him. The man is a waste of freaking space. And what he did in that interview with you, he should have supported the information. You were trying to educate the masses, Nels. You were trying to explain to them and educate them on the fact that there's a pattern of, black women being found unalived by bodies of water. As a black man, not that I think that black people
shouldn't, but that is serious stuff. It's life and death.
But as a black man, in that moment, he should have brought in the cultural nuance, which is actually, hold up a second, this is not, what is this not? It is not a conspiracy freaking theory, and it's not acceptable that the police has come up. Exactly, that is what you should have done. So you giving us a mini bio of, let us understand. I don't want to understand the man.
No. I'm just trying to contextualialize.
There's no contextualization. There's no contextualization of Kwasi Kwarteng.
I agree. No, trust me. I have it. If you read my first book, I had good money roasting Kwasi Kwarteng for a long time, for a very, very long time. But the key thing with this one over here, I think, when it boils down to this conversation, and you're seeing a steady stream of black women, and there was also a black man, one black man too, who got found in the river.
More than one black man. Elaine, right?
You're seeing this consistently. No, don't get me wrong. We don't have the means. If you say to me, Nelson, go and investigate it, I'll probably do a basic investigation. Look, I wouldn't know what to look for, but I pay my taxes to ensure competent people take a look into what is actually happening here and what has actually happened, so there can be a clear investigation. That's what we pay our taxes for. That's what we expect people to do. And the problem with it, that the state, we don't have that invested confidence in them to do so. So when they come back to us and say, there's no foul play here or anything else, it's a bit harder for us to take it at face value when we're seeing so many no foul plays for uncharacteristic behavior when it comes to water and black people. I don't know any black women or black men whatsoever who would be in Brighton Beach at that time or any time of the day. Normally, certainly not at night time. Let alone 3 siblings. And then you're seeing in different other places. If I've seen this also, if I suspected there's something that there was something I'd seen before, I'll say so. But the cultural characterization of the people I know, this is not what I've seen. I'm so sorry.
I think we would all agree with you on that. Now, talking about how this pan out, Elaine, I want to bring Elaine in, but Elaine did a video. I want you guys to. Martin said, "Shola, please take the wheel." You should be asking Jesus to take the wheel. Shall I take the wheel? All right, listen, I want to play this video by Elaine because I thought Elaine's video will really help us get into the nitty-gritty. I don't know if you guys can please go on mute. I don't know what's happening with the mic, but I'm going to play this now. It's just for a couple of minutes. Hold on one second.
Know about me is that black women are my heartbeat, and I don't play when it comes to their safety, you understand? Now, the police are doing their investigations, but I have questions that I need answers to. And something ain't clean in the milk. So this is what's been reported. 3 women whose bodies were recovered from the sea of Brighton Beach were all sisters in their 30s, police revealed. Emergency services were called to Brighton seafront at around about 5:45 a.m. last Wednesday, where 3 bodies were then found in the water. Sister Jane Adetoro, 36, Christina Walter, 32, and Rebecca Walter, 31, from Uxbridge area, northwest London, were named by Sussex Police on Wednesday. Now, it's been alleged that they have drowned. That was the cause of death. But to be honest, I have questions of my own. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to let the police, who's riddled with racism and takes pictures of dead black women and pokes fun at them in WhatsApp, I'm not really too sure how well they will investigate this case. So I have questions of my own. Now, I took it upon myself to Google Black Rock Car Park, because that's the area where the girls were found, right? Here is the Black Rock Car Park, right? Here is basically the sandy beach, whatever you want to call it. And this is the sea, right? You also have the main road up here. Cool, let's continue. Now, this picture is basically taken from the main road, right? And you can clearly see that there's hilly cliffs, and then you have a patch of green, then you have a road, then you have other parts to the beach, then you have the sand, then you have the sea. So you're trying to tell me that these 3 women traveled hills and valleys to get to the sea at what? Between what hours? What, 5 o'clock in the morning? Are we being for real? And just to show you I'm not ramping, look, this is a Google Maps view of the street, right? Madeira Drive. This is it. Because remember, I showed you the picture, and the picture was taken up from these hills, right? Cool. This is Madeira Drive, yeah? And as I'm going around on Google Maps, this is the car park over here, Black Rock Car Park. There are gates, yeah? All sorts. Do you know how far, just from this view, do you know how far the sea is? So you're telling me that they traveled from Quay up here, right? Because there is the main road. So they traveled Quay from here, yeah? Traveled across the grass, across Madeira Drive, across the car park, across the sandy beach, and to the sea. What? For shits and giggles? Don't piss me off. Do I believe that they intentionally crossed nearly a football pitch to get to the sea for shits and giggles? Absolutely not. Do I feel like there was foul play involved? Absolutely. Because it doesn't make sense for 3 grown women, mind you, they're in their 30s, right? So they do have common sense. Why would they travel across here to the sea for what? That's what I want to know. And for the police not to tell us what type of state their bodies were in, you absolutely have us effed up. This is absolutely within the public's interest, because we want to know how their bodies were found. Were their shoes missing? Were their purses gone? Were their keys still there? Did they make a distress call? Is there dirt under their fingernails? We want to know all of these details. You can't just chalk it up to drowning and be like, oh yeah, there was no foul play. How? You've only been investigating for 7 days. I'm not even sure how long it takes for the coroner's report to come back from all 3 bodies. I damn sure know it takes longer than 7 days. As a black woman, I already do not feel safe in the UK. And this just ups the ante and the paranoia about what I need to do when it comes to my safety.
Thank you so much for that, Elaine. I thought it was important to play that because I thought Elaine had done an excellent detective job. No, I think it's important. So please, just share your thoughts on your findings so far and what you're seeing people say.
Yeah, so in my video, this is the thing. Everyone was giving their opinions and speculating. I said, okay, let me look at it from a different angle. I want to actually place myself there because me as a Black woman, as a Londoner, because they're all Londoners, right? Me as a Black woman, as a Londoner, I've also been to Brighton, but I damn sure know that I'm not traveling to the sea and it's pitch black and it's cold and all of those sorts of things. So I literally wanted to place myself in their shoes to be like, would I really travel, literally scale a cliff, go down across the road over rocky, it's not even sand, it's pebbles and rocks, right? And if they're coming from a night out or whatever it is, and they're in their heels or whatever, they are not doing that. And, you know, when I had my live the other day and I was entertaining the theory that the only way that I could, this is just a theory, this is not me saying that this has definitely happened, this is just a theory. But what my theory was, the only way that they could have made their way to the sea or whatever it is if that they met a local or a group of people, right? And, you know, they're like, oh yeah, let's take you around or whatever the case may have been, or on their walk home, they've met them and then they've gone down there and something's happened and now they've ended up unalived, right? That's the only logical thing that I can think of that is a possibility, because I do not see how three sisters, it's like the police are saying, oh, you know, there was a siren in the ocean and, you know, they just all just went in. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So, and because they're not giving any more details, you know, when the police give details like, oh, you know, the victim was here, they were at this club for this amount of time, then they traveled down this road. They gave absolutely nothing. So that tells us everything we need to know about what's going on here.
Exactly. I can listen. I agree with you. I don't know if you can hear me to myself. I totally agree with you. And I think one of the first things we heard from the police was that it was not suspicious, no criminality. Those were the first things, and that immediately just triggered me. Sister Ngozi, what do you think is happening here?
First of all, apologies, my internet went down. I want to thank you for calling this meeting, Dr. Shola. It's so important. And I want to thank you, Elaine, for doing the work. It's so important. I want to focus on how we're feeling as the Black community right now, because we are afraid. We are in trauma, we are hurt, but we are not in any doubt that we are in danger. So what I would like to add to this is safety measures. I want to be telling my daughters, my sisters, my colleagues, my mother, my friends, we're not safe out there. And we don't even know, is this somebody in uniform? Because what would make, we're not talking about just the three sisters, you know, we're talking about a whole family of sisters going missing. What is the common denominator? What is it that maybe makes us feel this person is safe or we're in safe company? What is this? So I'm looking at people in uniform. I don't know if it's police, I don't care if it's NHS, I don't care who, right? I could say, look, let's go out in numbers so that we are safe. But the sisters were together, they're three. So what do? I tell you what we don't do. We don't focus on the police, right? Because if we haven't learned by now that we are not a priority, that there is no resource going into finding out what's happening to us. If we haven't learned now that we are not safe, and we can park those people who say, oh, it was just this, or we're making things, whatever, they don't have to worry about their demographics. So they should stay out of ours, right? We need to focus on each other. It's touch one, touch all. I didn't come here to play. I only had 2 hours notice that we were going to do this. Dr. Shola, the love is there. Dr. Elaine and brothers, the love is there. But I'm not playing with anybody. Understand, right? That they have to understand. We're not playing with you. If you think you're going to be out there troubling our sisters, murdering our family, right? Whether the 3 sisters was part of that or not, something is going on. And if you think you're going to keep us quiet, I spoke very briefly to Sister Kalechi. right? And between us, we're all doing our work. You see, when we come together, nobody is more powerful than us. You see, I'm going to hold that for now. I think you're muted, my sister. I think you're muted.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, because what you said really resonates, and I feel it. I think it's also one of the reasons why I woke up feeling heavy in my heart, because I thought nobody's really listening to us as usual, which is wrong. Akua is here with us. Akua, we can see you. Can we all go on mute? I'm going to go on mute as well because I can hear a bit of scratchiness. Hey, Akua.
Hey guys, sorry for joining late. I'm still on my way home.
That's
But
okay.
I didn't want to miss the conversation.
How was dinner? Did you eat for me?
I did. I ate small. I ate small.
Oh, you did small. Eh? This life.
Just
You
small.
should
Summer body needs to be ready. So yeah, I'm eating small.
Me too. So Akua, thank you so much for joining us. What are your thoughts about the ongoing discourse around this? Because we've just covered the point that there are people trying to shut down our conversations because they say it's conspiracy theory. There are people trying to make it look like, the police is doing its best when we have every reason to believe that they are not. And of course, there's the increasing fear in the Black community as to what exactly is happening here. We need answers.
Yeah, I think, first of all, absolute praise and love to the family and what they've experienced. It's horrific and horrifying. I really want to know more. I want to know more answers before the conversation, because I don't want to. I think I'm being very sensitive to the family and mindful of what the family is experiencing, and I would hate for sensationalist stories to add to their already horrific time, experience, and stress and grief. But we have seen a pattern of Black women disappearing and ending up near water. It is insanely weird. I don't understand it. And we want to live in a world where there isn't something nefarious going on. We want to believe that, okay, this is all random, but why is it so connected? Why is it so similar? Why is there some sort of pattern? And this culminating in 3 sisters in a very weird situation that we all identify as not being normal for Black women to do. That's the scary part, but I really am leaning into, I really want to know more. I want to know the story of what happened. I want to know, where's the CCTV footage? Like, where is the, and as the police chief was saying, like, that we're not treating it as suspicious. We spoke about it on the Aunties podcast. Like, how can you say that off the jump? There's been no time to do anything. It's only just happened. So how can you already have a verdict or an assumption as police people? You're supposed to at least say, our investigation is ongoing. We are looking into this. Please bear with us. If you feel like you need more time, then be honest with the people, because this is a very sensitive subject. And you're talking to a community that has been persecuted for generations and beyond generations. And you know that this is going to be something that we are keeping an eye on. So I think it's important that we talk about it. I want everyone to be mindful of sensationalizing what could happen. I think everyone's justified in being very scared, very worried. And definitely now we have to then arm our children with all the information and precautions when they're going out on day to day, just being very aware of the surroundings. But we have nothing. We don't even have any real understanding of what happened to the women who've passed before. We have nothing. Everything's been treated as a suicide or not suspicious death. So we have nothing to go on. We can't even say, well, look out for this person that's dressed like this, was seen in the area, We have nothing to go on. And that's what's, because I can't, I've got a young daughter. I can't say don't go to work. I can't say don't go out with your friends. I can't do that. I can't tell her who is she looking for, what out for? Is she even in danger? What is going on? So I'm just stuck in a space. I want a lot more information. I want us to be united. I want us to speak out. I don't want us to be fearful, but I also want everyone to be mindful of what they're putting out there, because even if at anything, think about the family, and them having different versions of stories of what could happen can only be heightening and intensifying their fear on top of the grief that they're suffering.
Oh, very well said, Akua. I agree with everything you just said. Marvyn, I was just going to ask you that in terms of how people think that even just having this conversation is sensationalizing, do you think that's the case? I almost think that it is conversations like this that help to calm community, because not letting us speak is what is going to heighten the fear, is going to heighten the suspicion that somebody's not telling us something. What are your thoughts? Oh, you're mute.
Sorry, I'm a JR. I fundamentally remember when George Floyd was fresh, and it happened in the context of COVID, and we losing family members from COVID, and people losing their jobs and dying on the front line. There was a lot of intensity, and we hosted a few Dope Black like community Zoom calls. The rage that existed on those Zoom calls are things that I have never observed and experienced before. And space for that rage is fundamentally important. We had a closed user group, so it was allowed that, you know, people were calling for everything you can think of, right? And the ability to say that when you already don't feel safe and you don't believe that any of these systems are going to respond to your needs is a really important value add. I think what became very quickly afterwards was about how do we responsibly build systems to counter that actual feeling. And there's a couple of things that I think are super important. There is a weight on specifically Black women to advocate for their own safety and well-being, and a lack of male voices who do that, but also do the work to back it up. And so inherently there is this feeling of being alone, because you're not just fighting a system, but you're also fighting justice within your own community at times. I do feel like you can vent that frustration and that fear. Like, I think listening to Elaine, it was very visceral, that frustration. And I feel like, without necessarily being specific to the case, but to the feeling, to the trend, is really, really important. That is the release for me. We are aware, and something isn't quite right here is a fundamentally valid point to make outwardly. I think it's about how do the leaders, the experienced, the skilled, the people who have access, the people who have proximity to white spaces, white voices, white platforms, how can we use those to amplify this message? Like, I'm on Jeremy Vine, Good Morning Britain, Nels is on Good Morning Britain, Shola, you're everywhere. Like, I think using our podcast, our platforms, our email databases to continually communicate. I think we probably need to gather offline and talk about what are the systems going to look like. I think the system has to work in a way where every single time these occurrences happen, we don't have to go to the depths of our soul to fight, scream, and shout for justice. We have to be able to do it and be able to still navigate, you know, paying our mortgage at the end of the month, and like still be able to mentally feel safe in your immediacy yourself while you're fighting for this justice. And it's a tough duality, because sometimes you just want to burn it down. Sometimes you don't want to maintain this really soft, kind, warm, like feeling around the rawness of it, right? And I feel like I always ask myself, like, does it work? That's the measurement of success for me. It's not whether I'm right or I'm smart about it. It's like, does the thing I do work and have the impact that we need? And I think that's a question maybe for offline, but I think we should look at what the answers are.
That's honestly, Marvyn, spot on. What you say is spot on. And even talking about these spaces, white dominated spaces, right? I mean, listen to Nell's earlier point. If Susanna had not been, if she had not wanted that conversation to happen in that moment, because it wasn't amongst what the stuff that they were meant to talk about, it would not have happened in that moment. And I think that tells you something. And Nels, do you feel? I think Marvyn mentioned, you know, being in different spaces. I don't know if you've noticed, but because this mouth God gave me has been pissing a lot of people off about Israel and Zionists. Apparently, Dr. Shola is way too toxic to have around. Good. I'm happy. I'm ready to burn everything down. But Nels, let me talk to you. Let me ask you, do you think that, especially with the spaces that you, Marvyn, and many of us sometimes, you know, get access to, that we can do more to bring this kind of, you know, news and information and nuance and exposure, because it's necessary?
Yeah, I think with any platform that you go on, your objective always has to be to make sure that you're serving whatever your agenda might be, whatever is close to your heart. You have to actually try and make sure you push it through, and whatever subversive way you can do so, you would do so. That's just that's how these things work. You work within this. If you're within the system, even though sometimes actually the system changes you more than you change the system, but you do your best to make sure that you are changing things within. Now, look, I've been on many shows before. I've hijacked the whole show, not particularly on GMB. There's shows where I've not invited back onto because I hijacked the show for the purpose of getting a particular point across. I remember when I was on Question Time, most famously, I hijacked Question Time. I thought
that was a good one. That was an excellent
that was
one.
interesting. That we haven't had me back ever since. I blew that one. Anyway, but the cooking doesn't matter. We're still here. But also, too, I think as Marvyn pointed out, as we do here tonight, as you can see with my little uppity thing and everything else, so it's significantly what's most important is that we actually have our own infrastructure too, so we can actually get these communities, as Elaine does so bloody excellently, as your aunt Khadiva, are you with me, as Sister Space does and everything else. So these institutions, legacy institutions that we're building, legacy and future institutions that we're building within our own community is absolutely vital, is crucial, because at the end of the day, the phone can stop ringing tomorrow, but we still always have ourselves, and that's what really matters. Yeah.
Exactly.
Dr. Shola, if I may, my mouth.
Please.
First of all, let me tell you, do not underestimate the power of our community. The first thing I did when I saw what was going on, I called out certain people. I called out Brother Andrew, I called out Lloyd Coxon, I called out everybody, right? Too bad. I just called on people because they're silent on the ground, and it's we that have the power. And we give the power to those, you know what I mean? So just, first of all, I want to say that. Number two, you and I, and probably most of the people on this panel, know what racism is. Somehow, this country allows anybody to say and do what they want to Black people. Black women, we get it every day. And you know what? They know there's no comeuppance. They don't have to, nothing is going to happen to them. So now the next step is to kill us off. You see, right? I've been trying to be very calm and quiet about it, but I'm telling you, yeah, people should not underestimate those who are moving quietly. You see, right? We have the community behind us. And to those who may be involved in this mysterious disappearance, because you know they're watching us, right? You know the people who know what's going on is watching us. So I got a message for you. You see, you touch one, you touch all. And although we're feeling trauma and everything, don't mistake the trauma for fear, you know. We're coming for you. Simple. You're not going to keep doing us like that. Simple things. I've spoken.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I just say, for the people who have proximity to these white shows and all of those sorts of things, do you not feel like you're banging your head against the wall here? Do you not feel exasperated talking to white people about racism? We have been speaking to them for years. They do not care. So it's wasted energy and wasted time for you to go on these platforms and scream for the rooftop. It's like us fitting a square peg in a round hole. They will never get it. They will not care. And as much we could give them, we've given them the world. We've given them our culture. We've given them our we've integrated. We've been educated. We have done every single thing. We have jumped through every single hoop, and they still do not care. So for me personally, I feel like going in these white spaces and trying to make a difference in all those sorts of things, it's just there's no point in doing that. What we need to do is start building our Black economy. We need to start organizing ourselves. We need to start making sure we have a foundation for our community, just like how we compare our communities to every other ethnicity out here, and every other ethnicity make sure that they cover their backs when their women are unalived. You see the Asians, you know, when that woman got raped in the park or whatever it is, they stood up, went out, did their thing. Same with the J community and whatever it is, right? They have infrastructure, and we do not have that because we are working in silos and we're so dispersed. So I feel like the first thing that we need to do is come together on one common ground. And even then it's tricky for us to do because we come from different countries, right? Because I've had this talk with like a Black Americans where the Black Americans have more unity because their ethnicity is what unites them. They're not you know, Congolese or Jamaican, and they have different cultures and different religions and stuff like that, more or less they are the same, right? But when we try to come together in the UK, which is what I've personally found, is that a lot of other Black people have different morals, different standards. They don't want to press the issue. They want to, you know, be like, oh no, we don't want to take that on, and all of these sorts of things. And it's because of, you know, how they've been brought up in regards to their values and their morals, right? So for me, when I've tried to unite Black people, you guys all have seen that, I've had so much pushback. And so I've literally been ripped to pieces because of the indoctrination and the programming of our people. So we need to do this in steps here. The first thing that we need to do is deprogram our people and stop the indoctrination, because,
Can I
you know,
can I share? Sorry.
yeah. Just let me finish, because I just feel like how we are being programmed is that we automatically don't want to hurt people's feelings. We automatically want to unite and include everyone, and we put everybody else above our self-interest. And for me, I just can't get with that. So I'll concede there, but that's my thoughts on, you know, the white spaces and stuff like that.
So I think it's incredibly important. And I think sometimes words are spells, and I think how we speak about ourselves should be accurate, but it should also be inviting. And it also be centered in love, right? And I think whenever you create your version of a Black community, you will attract your vibration and you will solve your challenges your way. The fact is, we have 6 different people on a panel who all have slightly different approaches to how we would solve a consistent problem. I'm only interested in my tribe when I have to go to move and to work, right? But at the same time, Shola messaged all of us at the same time, and we all turned up like the Avengers, ready to have this conversation to advance. So I always want to be careful that when we talk about we're not united, we're not doing the same, we're not acting as a community, we will never be a fist. It will never happen that way. Class, race, gender, age, generational divides, wealth divides will always have a different perspective. People are willing to risk different amounts of things for advancement for Blackness, right? And so I want to make sure that we're all doing a part. I would say whenever we're in those platforms and those spaces, there is more advantage to everybody calling in to those shows and sharing their views on those platforms, reinforcing the values and the ideals that we talk about, than there is in removing the Black faces from those platforms. When I'm on those platforms, I'll speak for me. I only go in there to talk about my values. And my job is to only vibrate with the people that are open to getting it. I don't think I'm going to convince a 72-year-old reform voter from the regional parts of Britain that Black lives are important, right? And my goal is not to create that, but my goal is to hold space and to share the values and the views that are going to move the conversation forward for the people doing the work, right? So in that way, representation and being highly visible in that moment creates peace, creates actually some sort of recognition in others that there are people who have those same values and want the same outcomes. The last thing I'll very quickly say is that doing the work, right, is long tail, right? And I think after 20 years of working in advancement of Black experiences, Black family, it never happens quick. It never happens painless. And I don't know what the torture is in us to not just sit around the table, come up with a simple strategy and deliver. But I have seen a significant amount of progress that has happened in so many areas. I don't want to diminish that growth, but I still want to challenge every single time it goes left and the RAS is RAS. And I think it's incredibly important that we do that and understand that when we do it, we can do it from a powerful position of experience and wisdom. And we don't lose the ground and we don't dishonor the people who have done the work historically.
I listen, both you and Elaine have made very, very valid points. I think that it is important to recognize that for those who are watching and listening, all the points being raised here are part of the you know how you say they are the sum. They make the parts of the sum that of the experience that we're all talking about, whether it is how we engage in white spaces, how we come together, unify, how we use our skill sets, how we get our tribes, what we say to each other and what we say to our families, how we keep ourselves safe. This is all part of the conversation. And I think the reason why we're having these kind of conversations is because these 3 Black sisters could have been any one of us. It could have been anybody that we know. And as tragic as their deaths are, it has to mean something. It has to provoke something. And I think that is what I'm asking people. What is this going to provoke? First of all, as we're having this conversation, for those of you who don't know, Kelechi Okafor, if you're not already following Kelechi, please do on Instagram. She's been working with the families, but she's been doing a lot of work in this space, a lot of work in connecting the dots long before someone like me was even aware. I wasn't connecting the dots. I didn't even know there was a pattern. But there is a GoFund link that I'm going to play her video later on, so you guys can be aware of the GoFund to be able to donate and help the family. At this time, it wasn't until my father died, people, that I realized that burying somebody you love is as expensive as just existing and living, because I could not understand how expensive funerals are. So you can imagine that having to bury 3 of their children is going to require a lot of resource. So if we can do that, please let's support them. I'll play the video later on. But right now, my brothers and sisters, auntie on here, let's have a real conversation, okay? No filter. And I like what you guys have been doing so far. No filter, okay?
You mean to tell me the filter's been on all this time? Is that what you're saying to me? My God almighty, let me just...
I was trying to guide and make sure there was no filter. The point here is, do we think there is, again, I've said this is a safe space, okay? They told us in all of the other cases, nothing suspicious. 1, we think it's suspicious because there's a pattern. We hear that there's 3 sisters who died. When I watched Kelechi's video, she said their mother was one. I think the mother is one of the women who are part of the list of women who was found unalived by a body of water. What was your first thought when you heard that?
Sorry, say that again. So the mother of the girls,
was also found unalived by a body of water.
Do we know
when she was found? Kelechi said that she was found by a lake in 2012, but she did mention that there was mental health involved in that. But she did say that their mother, was found by a lake.
Yes, because I remember the mother's case. As soon as when I heard Kelechi say it, I realized the mom must be one of the list of women we already know was found dead by body of water. And I won't lie to you, the African in me, the spiritual in me, immediately I started shaking my head. I said, something doesn't feel right here. Am I the only one? Am I sounding superstitious? This is not about conspiracy theories. I'm saying what are you thinking as soon as you heard that?
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing it, so that I'm still processing. I didn't know that. So that makes it even adds to the layer of suspicion. I don't have anything to say actually, because all I can say is I did not know that, so that's surprising. Also, depending on where your beliefs lay, there's what's the spiritual connection to that? What is the reason behind that? But I didn't know that, and I think why I'm at a loss is what to do, without more information, what to do. That's where I'm stuck at the moment.
Yes.
Can I also just say that we may not actually have to, and I know I said don't have to do anything, right? I feel like what Dr. Shola said earlier, right, where it's just like we just might have to be a bit pissed off. We may just have to be like when Elaine was saying the questions, the data that we need, I was like, yeah, we need to know that, and we need to know that, and we need to know that. And it's like, who do we need to get that from? But also, like, people often in that feeling feel like the being is not enough. Like, being pissed off is just enough. I'm pissed off. And until I'm given more information, and then I'll go request more information. And when I get it and it makes more sense, a part of my nervous system may regulate with the additional information, right? And I say that this particular state of being is just being pissed off, right?
What if we never get more information?
I feel like there's always, and by the way, and this is where it becomes really important. When I spoke earlier about collecting data and information, we need a central hub of where that information lives. Then you need someone an analyst is to be an arbiter of looking at that data and trying to make inference as to what that means, who has experience of doing that, right? This is where you have to go into our community and find people who have done this before, who can actually maximize that potential. Once you have enough data, and again, we're talking about a mother from 2012, that would give you 14, almost 15 years worth of data. In that, you can see a pattern. We don't know if it's related. We don't know if it was a ritual. We don't know if it's spiritual, but the data will give us insights, right? We know enough about African spirituality. We can find enough to include that as an overlay of the data once we get it. But that's not going to happen today. Today is what the fuck is going on, right? And I feel like that heat should reverberate. And actually, the first, by presenting that information to media, and shouts to Susanna for doing that, and to other platforms and to journalists, is for them to go and ask on our behalf what the fuck is going on, right? And amplify the message. That's phase one. And so while we're in phase one, I think we should be leveraging all the people that have access to write, to speak on multiple platforms, to ask the question, what the fuck is going on? And that creates a context for them to come back to us with answers.
No, I totally agree with you.
I'm very mindful.
Sorry,
I'm very mindful. I don't really want to go too deep into the three sisters and the mother until we have more facts. I don't want to do that. I don't want to upset the family or anything like that. But what I think we're missing here is we're looking at the last 5 or 6 cases of Black women being found murdered, right? I think we need to look much further back than that, right? I've already mentioned the disrespect that happens to Black women that is accepted generally. We're talking about Cynthia Jarrett, they're walking, all the Black women who have been killed, who have been assaulted, those we don't even know about. So I think what we need to do on this platform, right? And by the way, just to address something Elaine said, my experience has been very different than yours in terms of the community and reaching out to Black men and women. I found anytime I've called, they've come. Yeah, that's my experience. But I hear you. We have to find the problem and work out a solution. But right now, we are dying. We mentioned the 2 sisters in the park, that they don't even respect us when we are dead. How are you gonna, even as I say it's blowing my mind. You are taking pictures and mocking 2 Black women who have been murdered. I have a bomb-proof letterbox. Let me share with you today. You see that? I don't want to go into your partial, but you see that letter that you got? And 3 other people got it? I was one of them. So I'm the missing person. I dared speak out in a public place and they came for me. And I tell you who was there for me? The community, right? You may not see them the way we're on platforms, but they are very much there. I've never put a call out and it's not been answered, right? So we must have faith in ourselves before we have faith in anybody else. You see? That's the main thing. Look at the violence that's happening to Black women. The fact that you could be an MP, you could be a PP, you could be anybody and anything. They know they can tell and do what they want to us, and there's no repercussion. That's what we need to be looking at. So let's look back at the decades of those who died, right? Police, whoever walk into the school with our 15-year-old children and Black children and get away with it. Right? So we shouldn't be so surprised when these things are happening. What we need to do, right, is maybe not even talk on a platform like this. We need to go somewhere else and talk quietly. You see what I'm saying? Right? Because when they hear what's going on, they will put things in place. Right? I have no fear that we, as a community, that we are not strong enough to deal with this. Yes, we demand and we expect other people who are not from our demographics to also be concerned and to be also putting in the work to make sure that this is not happening to Black women. You see? But when it comes to us, I don't play.
Yes, sis, I totally hear you. And you're absolutely right. That one of the reasons why I thought it's necessary to have conversations like this on platforms like this is because just like Marvyn and Nell say, they're not having these kind of conversations in the mainstream. They're not giving us access to delve into what the F is happening, who the hell is doing what. And if we are not talking and we're not being vocal and visible, then even the smallest pressure is not being placed on the police. And that is what in my pissed off state, that is what I can't stand. I mean, I don't usually respond to comments on my pages, but I found myself engaging one-to-one with king councils and all these CEOs on my LinkedIn page who wanted to tell me, well, speculation is not the right thing. You have to give the police time. And I said, time and giving the police time for anything is not a luxury that Black women have. If we don't talk about it, they will do jack all. And you can't say it doesn't help the bereaved family, because right now the bereaved family can't do anything. They are in shock. And it's because we are talking and making noise about it that people are like, oh, what happened? What happened? Somebody actually had the temerity, the caucasity to come on my page to tell me, well, how can you make it about race? In the year 2026, I had to remind myself this is LinkedIn, not X, where I can use some words and verbally slap them. I just wrote, in the year 2026, you come on my page to say, how can you make this about race?
They're scared.
How? And the reality is, and you know why they said that? Let me tell you why they said that. Because I said it is not a Black thing. Just like Nels was, alluding to on GMV. It's not a Black thing for a Black woman to be all glammed up with hair she's paid good money for and enter the water in the dark of night. Cold, freezing water in Brighton. I said, it's not making sense.
Cultural competency. Without it, the nobody, no police, no nothing. If you don't understand the Black community, if you don't understand how we tick or what don't make sense, if you don't know anything about us, you can't even do an investigation. So shut up. Go sit down.
It's funny you should say that, because sorry, Sister Ngozi.
No, you're good.
When that point came up this morning, and I did say it there, that look, one in my family, I'm lucky. I've got 11 siblings. Half of them are girls, and it's just like the whole, you name it. Also, I've got all of you in my life. Also, Egbon, Shola, are you with me? Everybody, Akua, you name it. So that's just how it goes. But the problem with it, once again, too, is that everybody I knew, there was not one Black woman I can name, generations, who I would say that, yeah, this one's crazy enough to go to Brighton Beach at this time of the morning or so, this like that. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So what I don't want to do, as I said this morning again, I won't even say that. I'll say this, that it's imperative that the police conduct not just a thorough investigation, but a transparent investigation, so we can have absolute confidence in what's going on in moments like this. Because when you've got the 3 dead bodies of 3 Black women, and we know our history, we know what's happened, we know institutional racist police and everything else, moments like this, again, 3 out-of-town sisters, are you with me? Brighton's a lovely place, I'm told, or so, but it's not really so. But I actually don't like leaving London. You know what I mean? I don't like leaving London at all. Whenever I leave London, I want to get back, but I prefer to leave the UK than to leave London. I prefer to. So Brighton, lovely as it might be, it's not Miami or anywhere else like that. Even in Miami, you don't see Black women on the beach at whatever time in the morning. Are you with me? It's just where it goes. You don't see it in Lagos. You don't see it in Jamaica. You don't see it in Barbados. You don't see it in Miami. You don't see it anywhere. Why are they doing this? Why would they be doing this in Brighton? So this is where it's kind of like, it's all just kind of bonkers once again too. So look, the key thing is that it is our responsibility as a community and as citizens to place pressure on the authorities to ensure that a thorough investigation, but it can't just be thorough. It must be seen to be thorough. It must be transparent as possible in this situation as far as this investigation is concerned. That is what we need. That's where we need to get the confidence from, because we're not making this up. We're not imagining this. We're not being paranoid. It's not a conspiracy theory. There's a clear-cut trend that something is happening here. Something's happening here that how many people do you know this week, other than swimming pool, how many people do you know this week who've been in wild waters in the UK? This month, we're on the 21st day of May. This month, how many Black people you know? None. Are you with me? As yet, for some bizarre reason, none. I don't know any whatsoever. None. That's that.
And when we say that's not a black thing, it's, oh, you're making it about race. No, that's cultural nuance.
That's
cultural nuance.
Exactly. That's knowing thing. So the police, you have to know that, like, the likelihood of this sort of behavior, it might happen. There might be a unique situation where it did happen, but the likelihood of it happening though is.
Looking at the history of our community and the Met Police or Brighton Police, whatever you want to call it, just police in general, looking at how they investigate our cases from Stephen Lawrence right back down, right? Do you guys really feel like you will trust them to do an investigation in this and come up with the answers that we are searching for? Because, and this is, I really want to stress this again, what if they don't? Because I don't have confidence in the police that they will come to some sort of conclusion if they've already wrapped it up in 7 days, right? I don't have confidence that they are going to make some new discovery. I spoke to a, a forensic scientist yesterday on my live, and she said that when she's doing an investigation, everything is called into question. How far they walked, how far they were from their Airbnb, why they went down to the beach, who they spoke to that day. Every single thing is called into question. And I feel like clearly they didn't do enough investigating to just chalk it up as a drowning. So once again, I'm going to ask you guys, do you really feel like you have the vested interest that the police will do a good and thorough job? Because what if they don't? What is our next move? Because as the Black community, we are not taken seriously. They said the N-word at the BAFTAs. Did anyone boycott? Did anyone move? Right? And yet here, we're back here again. Someone's been unalived in Ireland. These 3 girls have been unalived here. What is the consequence for unaliving us? Because we can't just keep talking. We can't just keep protesting. We can't just keep marching. It hasn't worked. We know our education isn't better. How we're treated in prison cells, we're not better. How Black women receive, pain when we're giving birth is not better. We are 4 times more likely to die. So I really want to move this along here to be like, what is the solution? How are we going to hold them accountable? If they do F up this investigation, what is the next step?
Okay.
Sorry if I'm not shouting at you guys. I'm just a bit like...
Not at all, Elaine. Listen, you're speaking with passion and we love that. Listen, I don't know if you're familiar with Sister Space, right? We have been trying to pass something called Valerie's Law, right? We got 106,000 signatures. We went to Parliament and we discussed it. What we're trying to do is make training around African and Caribbean heritage people mandatory, right? This is 10 years of fighting, right? We support Black women who go through any kind of domestic violence, sexual violence. So we have trained many of the police forces in the UK, cultural competency training. That is a whole story in itself. Trying to make them understand that they don't understand is a thing. Number one, the police have to understand is you don't understand. Whether it's because you don't want to or you don't need to, the fact is you are not equipped to adequately support. I can only speak about Black women affected by any kind of violence, right? Because you don't know that you don't know. So the answer for me, Elaine, is that we have to ensure for us, by us training. For us, by us. It means that you can't call anybody who goes under the BAME category, which can be anybody, yeah? I'm very clear about who I'm talking about. African and Caribbean, Black African and Caribbean heritage people. So that they come to me all like, hey, that's racist. Oh, you leave us out, whatever. Write a letter to somebody who cares, right? I'm going to go there, because if I don't, people are going to continue to die.
Can I say something? Can I give you a 2-word response?
Nels, were you about to say Kwasi Kwarteng? Because she's saying we don't want the Kwasi Kwarteng.
I was about to say something even worse than Kwasi Kwarteng. I was about to say Kemi Badenoch.
Oh, God,
very careful what you wish for, because trust me, Badenoch with a police badge and a gun is Kemi Bad not with a police badge and a gun.
You know what
Trust
I say
me.
back to you is, don't be distracted by those people who have got nothing to give. When I came on, you were playing a video by the brother there, right? And one of the things I try not to do is diss our people in public. No matter what I'm thinking, and we all know what we're thinking, I don't want to jump on that. So we all know what that is, and so I leave it alone. They can't speak for me, I don't speak to them, right? And so it is. I'm just focusing, and we have to keep the focus on what is important, right? So if we have to rely on Parliament, where they're voting for this person, that person, the other person, I never hear none of them mention anything about black people, black women going missing, or abuse of black women in Parliament, right? I'm gonna call the name Diane Abbott because I respect her. They do what they anybody can disrespect her, send her emails, tell her this and tell her that, and no comeback, right? They've done it to most of us on the panel. We have to keep going back to that. Why is there no consequence, right? And that is why these people feel like it's okay to keep doing what they're doing. Please, I don't even have to know you to love you. You're my family, right? And that's the biggest fear. When they see we come together in love, that's the biggest fear. Let's keep coming together in love.
One love, keep us together. I'm sorry that I'm singing. It's just that my husband and children don't allow me to sing, and I think the world is missing out on my natural talent. Okay, were you going to say something?
Because everyone's saying everything I want to. Every time I think of something, then my blessed family say it. So I'm just like, okay, you've said that point. I don't need to repeat it. I'm looking at the comments and seeing some of the vibes of I guess it's the confusion and the which way to go and what to do. I mean, we, with our platform on Aunties, we have a section called Enemies of Progress, and we do call out people, and we're pretty unfiltered. When I say people, we call out our own people who we feel aren't doing things the way we think they should be doing things. And it's just an opinion that we're sharing, and we're open to conversation. And I think I sometimes feel at a loss at what to do. I definitely agree with the boycott side of things. I find it difficult to know what to boycott, because you can boycott one thing and know there's a domino effect. If you boycott that, then you'll be boycotting this. And to be fair, the only way you could be truthfully a true boycotter is to live somewhere in the forest and not touch anything and not be connected to anything and not do anything but eat off the land. And you're probably offending someone or doing something bad in that aspect. But if there is, like, you know, when there's someone, people need someone to look to. And we also find that a problem, because the minute you have someone that sticks their head above the parapet, they're the one who's targeted. And we know historically we've lost lots of civil rights leaders who have gone out on a limb to speak on our behalf. They get taken out when they're too effective, whether that be a musician to actual politician to just anyone minding their business that leading people. So it's really difficult, and sometimes we are our own worst enemies. And also there's a matter of opinion. Sometimes we all speak out. It's not everything I agree with the direction of some people. Sometimes it can be like, that's too much for me. I like the way that person says something. We all have our own opinion and who we align with and who speaks to us. So I do think there's something to what Marvyn's saying in regards to find your tribe and educate your immediate circle, because it can be sometimes feel overwhelming to try and change the masses. And the minute you start looking at trying to change the masses, it stunts your movement. It makes it difficult to move, and then you just feel inertia. And it's like, okay, you know what? All I've got to think about is raising my kids, my partner, going to work, coming home, paying my bills, and maybe just being a good citizen is enough. And sometimes if that's all you can do, just live on this earth and be a good citizen and not bother anybody, maybe that is just your lot in life. You don't need to feel bad about it. But I think it is finding your tribe and finding like-minded people and ensuring, again, those of us with platforms, we are speaking up. We are speaking the truth to power and educate. Because even this alone, just now, I haven't had time. I've been out. I didn't hear that. I didn't know that piece of information about the girls' mums. That's an extra layer of information that I've got that now informs me to even steer my thing into something else. So if I'm going to go and speak about it on my platform, have an extra bit of information to share with my audience. And that's how we keep ourselves informed and educated. And that's why I'm always saying mindful of what we're saying, what we're putting out there when we do have platforms, so that we are as informed as possible, or being very clear as this is what I think. I don't have the facts yet. When I get more facts, I will share those facts. And let's be mindful when we have big platforms. But I also think this thing about boycotting is important, because we have become an apathetic generation, and again, with the overwhelm and of the day-to-day life, making it harder. The politicians and the government know what they're doing. They've made it harder for us to feel like effective community and challenge challenging the establishment is effective. They've made it much more difficult for us to see the changes, but there is some power in that. And I do think hitting people where their pockets are is where we can make some sort of difference, because all they care about is money as well, power and money. So something about the boycott is effective, I think, but it's about finding your tribe and influencing the people around you, especially your children, especially people, just your community. And I do agree with speaking out, but behind closed doors is where it needs to happen, wherever that is, however we do it, there has to be somewhere that people that have got the time and the influence to make change, we hunker down and have those conversations behind the scenes to take action, because trying to get everybody on board is a hard slog and can be quite draining when it seems like no one's following your path or listening to you.
I think that makes great sense. Thank you so much. That is absolutely spot on. I think what you said also helps in the short term and the long term. And that's to Marvyn's point as well, how to strategically and effectively work together. And that is not, and I think what Marvyn and you also say is we're not necessarily working in silos, but we should be able to work effectively so that whichever tribes we are, there's that commonality that can draw us together. But I think right now, there's pressure that must be made, that must be placed on the police institution, on the media, and on our politicians. We need to say, we sense very strongly as the Black British community that there is a pattern here. We want you to take the time to go discover and tell us, to Nell's point, with transparency, that there is or there isn't, but bring justification to back both. I think that is what is missing here. Now, for those who don't know, I actually have Kelechi's video, but what the first video she had posted, she said she's going to try to start an initiative for an independent investigation. So that is also an excellent idea of what the Black community can be doing. She says she's going to look into it and then she will come back, and then we can see how we can all support that. We can bring our skill set, our resources, whatever resources are required, whether that's donation, skill set, your mouth, your legs, your leggedy bent, bring what you can to make it work, right? But I'm saying, I think that the noise, it sounds like noise, but it's not noise. The questions, the speculation, the demands we're making right now is necessary. People, it is necessary, because if we don't do this, they will put it down to conspiracy theory. And as I mentioned before, patterns are not conspiracy theory. I didn't know about this until earlier this year, but apparently this has been going on for years. So maybe I heard on the news or not at all, because Black people don't really get much news time, right? If I heard once, I would not remember or think that the one I heard in 2024 is connected to the one I heard in 2012, because we hardly hear what happens to Black people. But there have been people like Kelechi who have been steadily going, what the actual hell is going on? So I think it is right for us to put that pressure on while we are still doing Let's Talk Offline. What can we be doing online? That's why I think spaces like this, where Black people can have real conversations without thinking, oh, if I say this, somebody will think something, and not caring. We have to get to the point that we don't care. We don't care if we burn the freaking house down. I'm not saying throw the baby out with the water. That's what I'm saying. If burning the house down, respectability politics, is stopping them from moving forward, then we burn the freaking house down. We bring the highest, the loudest, harshest, side of ourselves, if that is what's going to move them. Now, there'll be people who say, well, this is why we can't have Shola in certain spaces, because she just wouldn't know how to behave. It is good if I don't know how to behave. I'd rather not know how to behave than behave like somebody who has no freaking sense. Because how do we have 3 sisters? How do we have women over the years dying by bodies of water? And for many of us, especially us Black people, immediately your spirituality is saying, hey, the Nigerian in me, I'm ready to take my scarf. I say, hey, Father in heaven, how we love you. I'm already praying and speaking in tongues, because what do you mean? This is what I'm saying. But people will not understand because they don't connect with this cultural nuance that we're able to bring to the table. Elaine said it well. She said, how are you going to say that you've completed your investigation in 7 freaking days and not taking into account the cultural nuance? You've done jack all. Oh, we saw 3 bodies by the water. We saw a body by the water. We saw another body by the water. But we don't see any footsteps in the sand. Nothing to see here because the water came in and swept it away. What do you mean? And to Nell's point, which is a fantastic one, you can't tell us you're doing an investigation and you're not being transparent. We don't trust you, police. We don't trust you, politicians. We don't trust you, media. We don't. So don't expect us to take, oh, no suspicion and go. When in our minds, we are cursing you. We've already verbally buried you. So don't tell us that you have to give us something concrete. We're not stupid people. We want to be assured that we are cared for and somebody's paying attention. So you need to investigate. Sorry, Akua, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say this is my cautious side, and because generally I don't trust the police generally, but then also I want to understand the procedure, the normal procedure, because I think it was highlighted to keep an eye on the race of the girls before it was announced. And then because I saw the story and I genuinely saw the story and dismissed it as this is probably white women. And I didn't dismiss it out of a lack of empathy. It was more because I was actually in the mindset of looking for stories to suit our platform, which is about Black stories and Black news and stuff like that. So I dismissed it quickly that, oh, that's nasty, but that's probably white women because it was the location and what had happened. But then one of the aunties was like, actually, let's keep an eye on who they are. And now it's been revealed that they were Black. And that was like, okay, so there was a suspicion that was triggered in one of the girls. But I was also like, well, so what I've seen up until the police chief said, we're not treating this necessarily as suspicion as yet. That's the only part that triggered me. Other than that, I thought this is pretty straightforward for something like this, that this has just happened within hours. They come out and made a statement. The only thing that was a bit weird, it let no suspicion. But then there has to be now an element of time for them to do the job. I think there's a reality in us saying we're not very trustworthy of the police. We're not trust because these things have happened. So I think making that clear, but also I don't know what's the time frame? Sister Ngozi, maybe because you deal with lots of legal situations. I'm sorry, Dr. Shola got dealing with legal situations. What is the time frame for something like this? What is an appropriate amount of time to let the police do their job and come back with something or not? Is it a week? Is it a day? Is it a month before we say? And whilst we are having our conversations and keeping people informed of what's going on, what is the realistic time frame for us to feel like something wrong is happening?
I think when you look at the time frame, it depends on every case is different. So you can't really be specific about a time frame. But what you can do is look at the other bits of the story. Why are we not being told more about what's happening? The more they hide, the more we get suspicious. I've seen, I think it was last year, a woman went missing. Saw it all over the news, right? Then she turned up, she was drowned. It was a white woman. The media, everybody was all over it. Every kind of investigation you like, right? Now, what we need to do is stop being surprised at the things that keep happening. Every time it happens, we act surprised, right? Let's get a grip. We know what it is, right? So in answer to your question, timelines depend on the situation, the amount of people. It could be that, but what they need to do is work with us, work with the media, work holistically, and they're not doing that. So they're keeping us, I don't say in the dark, they're keeping us totally without information. And I have to big up the Voice newspaper, because that's the Voice newspaper are the ones who's bringing the story through, right? If they don't bring the story half the time, we don't know, right? So when we do look at how we're working together as a people, we actually are. We're working, it's not perfect, but we are working together, right? And once we keep doing that, Dr. Shola, most, if not all of us follow you, right? I follow you for many reasons, but one is because I want to know you're okay. Yeah, I'm not even playing. Yeah, Elaine, I'm watching what's happening with you. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. So there are those of us, right, who have a different energy around all of this, right? I don't usually come on platforms to talk like this, but I feel like I needed to. And I also needed to bring a level of humanity to the women that have passed away. I have 3 daughters, 3 grandchildren, 3 sisters. I cannot even imagine for 1 second you coming to tell me one of them is even hurt or something happened to them, much less 3. And then the ones that are on their own, what did they suffer before they passed? How many? What? Do we think it's 1? Do we think it's 2? Do we think it's a group of people? Do we think it's... We don't know. So as well as looking at how long the police take and all those kind of things, there are other things we need to be looking at, right? And which is why I think Dr. Shola, again, right, they're going to come after us because they've got nothing better to do. We'll let them come. My advice to you, as your older sister, don't get drawn in with these people who have got nothing better to do. They speak through fear. If you have to attack somebody online, then you've got either nothing else to do, or you're stupid bad, or you fear. Whichever the 3 or 4 is, that's not our concern. We've got work to do. All right? So all I would say to you guys, because I'm going to kind of shut it down now, is be safe and be well. Right? Where you think, Elaine, there's times where you might think you're by yourself. You are not. Let me say it to you openly. Yeah? You are not by yourself. Right? If they attack you, they attack all of us. Right? Dr. Shola, it's the same. Right? Family, it's the same. If they're attacking you, they're attacking all of us. We need a discipline. We need a discipline, definitely online, because what it does is help people to think, well, we don't even respect each other, so we can do what we like. So the discipline begins within, right? And if I could respectfully and gently say, don't engage with that, right? We've got so much things to do, and we've got so much people that support. You don't hear them, you don't see them, but they're there, right? So never forget that.
Big sis, thank you so much. I will try to remember that. I mean, my husband does try to, he tries to tell me not to wear my heart on my sleeve. Well, I mean, we've been together over 20 years. I think he knows by now it's too late. But he also tries to warn me not to have a heart attack. Again, I'm like, what were they thinking? Calm down. At this rate, I'm going to have to get insurance on your life. Anyway, the kind that I think before we round up, I want to say, first of all, thank you so much, all of you.
Before you say thank you, your husband and your children are frightened for you. Elaine, your family, it's not that they don't want you to speak. They have a fear, and it's not fair on them. It really isn't. We now have to look at the people around us. We have to be fair to them. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just needed to say that. Yeah?
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand. But you know what? We all do what comes natural to us. There's a reason why each of us was born in this era, this time. There's a reason why we've all gone through different experiences. I believe God has built us for this moment, and I pray that we meet the moment. Now, I do want to play Kelechi's video about the fundraiser so that everybody's aware of it and you can all go and look for it. I think it's really important. If we can support the family, let's do so. I do hope that many people are getting a lot out of this discussion, even just having this discussion. Let me tell you right now, I woke up this morning heavy-hearted. I think I'm going to go to bed feeling just that bit better, because it bothers me when I cannot unburden myself through this vessel God gave me. We called my mouth. It's like I need to talk and I need to hear. I need to converse. And it's so difficult in this world and in this society to have these conversations. I mean, how many people can you pick up the phone to and really vent? How many? Don't get me wrong. My family are used to mine. My husband's conduct is usually to take the remote control, press pause, and just listen. And by the time I'm done, I'm like, so aren't you going to say something? He said, but Shola, you said it all. You said the left, you said the right, you said the center. There's nothing else for me to say. And I think sometimes we just need to have these conversations to help us go forward. So I want you guys to, because you may not have heard this. Let me see. if I can quickly play it so that you all are aware of what's going on. 1 second.
Who passed away, and their bodies were found in the sea in Brighton. Their verified aunt, like their auntie, has reached out to me, and she was saying how she can't believe that somebody was even trying to set up a GoFundMe aside from what they were organizing or posing as their mum. But it seems like there was some kind of miscommunication with who that particular person was and how they were representing themselves. But with that being said, they have actually set up a GoFundMe now. The brother of their uncle Soji, he set it up. So he's the brother to Joseph, who's their father. He set it up. This aunt is also involved. Like, they are working directly with the father in order to be able to pay for the funeral. What I looked at, it says that they're trying to raise £18,000 to cover the cost of burying the 3 women. I've put the link in my bio. I'm in no way in anything. I'm literally just sending you the information that has been verified, that if you want to support them as a result of this tragedy, this is where you go. I've posted the aunt's page in my stories, so you can see that as well. And I've just added the link that she provided. That's in my stories. And I've put the bio on my link. I put the link for the GoFundMe in my bio via Linktree. So all of that is with the family. I just wanted to make sure that you got the information that I got, because I know some people were like, well, they don't have social media. Where's the family to claim them? They don't exist. They do exist. The women do exist. I don't know why everything has been the way that it's been. The investigations are still going on from what I've been told. But for the most part, if you wanted to support the family regarding the GoFundMe that they've created, I put the link there. It's all very confusing. For those who are like, well, why are you talking about it? This is content. Thunderfire your bumhole. I've actually been doing this for a number of years. I set up the database, the Google form, to collect any information about Black people going missing and being found in bodies of water. I started the database in 2023. Right? We're now in 2026. I've been at this for a while because I don't know why my brain works this way, but when I notice something, I fixate on it. If I notice a pattern, I fixate on it. And I've been really fixated on this for, like, I would say the past 4 years, but created the Google form in 2023 so we could start documenting what's happening. I held a meeting, I want to say it was 2024, to discuss with people, what do you think we should do with this information once we do get it? This isn't a flash in the pan for me. I want safety for us all, and I specifically want safety for Black people in Britain, and I do not want the police or whatever institution to pretend that we don't exist or that our deaths don't matter.
Very, very well said. And that is Kelechi. For those of you who do not know, if you're not following her, please do on Instagram. She's on there. Nels, you're getting love here. Marvyn as well. A lot of love about enjoying you on Jeremy Vine. I think it's important for you guys to know that when you're in these spaces and you are speaking truth to power, you're representing, and people love what you're doing. And I know these spaces are, because I'm on there sometimes, but I know what it's like. And then you have to juggle, and you have to, all of that batting. So please know that you appreciate it. I cannot thank you all enough. I can't. I swear to God, I really can't. Thank you. When I got up this morning, if I could, let me be honest, I almost thought, okay, I don't think I'm going to do a live stream this evening. I actually thought that. When I was feeling just heavy, I couldn't place why or what, but I knew it had something to do with the 3 bodies and then all of the acts. I just thought, maybe today I won't do it. But you see, God works in mysterious ways. God works in mysterious ways. And one way or the other, I was contacting Elaine, contacting Sister Ngozi, contacting Nels. Although Nels took his time coming back to me. It's okay. I'll come back.
I've been up since 3 a.m. today.
I don't want to get all right. But thank you that when I reached out, I think God made it happen. Even our sister who was going for dinner, she heard the call and she said, I will eat and I will show up. Can you see? This is how God works. I can't thank you guys enough. Thank you. I hope all those who got to watch today, I hope that just having this space, being able to hear this conversation, I hope it allays your fears at least a bit and just makes you feel like I've got some nuggets and maybe I can do something in my own space. And if there's any initiative that some of you want to undertake and you're looking for community to back it up, please share it with us. I don't think there's going to be one solution or one answer. This has to be a short-term and long-term thing. Okay, so please, let's do this. It's really, really important. And again, our love and condolences to the family of the three sisters. I cannot for the life of me imagine what they're going through. It's so important. My sisters and my brothers, I have taken so much of your Thursday evening. I don't know if you've already had dinner. I know you've had dinner. It's okay. You've eaten well. But if you haven't had dinner, please have a good rest this evening. And let's keep talking and let's keep engaging. Okay? Anything else you guys learn about, please feel free to tag me. You know my loud mouth. I will loud it up. Whatever it is, I'll share it. It's so important that we keep engaging. All right. Mwah! I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, guys, isn't it wonderful that we were able to have this conversation? I'm so glad that you were able to stay with us. I'm so glad you were able to watch. It's so important. I'm glad that I'm glad that this space is giving many of you that connection and that engagement necessary. Yes, please, everybody, let's stay safe as much as possible, honestly. But it's now, it's 10 p.m. It is past our bedtime. It's time to get tucked into bed. I usually get tucked into bed, put Netflix or Sky News on, and then I have crumbs of ginger nut biscuit or rich tea biscuit, because that's how I kind of calm down before I finally sleep, then say my prayers. I'm not telling you to go and put crumbs on your bed. I'm just telling you how I tend to wind down. All right, people, take very good care and God bless you. And I hope to see you next week, Tuesday, by God's grace. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.